Hi again, Mark here from TalkingBass.net. This week I've got a second preview video of the upcoming Basic Fundamentals course. Now this course is made up of 40 lessons addressing all the stuff that bass players need to develop a good core foundation. That's everything from setting up your bass, through to buying an amp, through to music theory, sight reading basics and much more. It's going to be available from the courses page over at TalkingBass.net, so keep an eye out for that. This lesson is number 13 in the series and it covers how we can see chord progressions as a set of numbers in a sequence and how we can see chords within a key as numbers. Okay, enjoy! In recent lessons we've looked at chord progressions. We've learned to play a basic groove pattern using root notes, then we added some extra notes into the mix by using the arpeggio patterns. This lesson we're going to take a look at a way of learning and committing chord progressions to memory, and to do this we're going to use a special number system. In the major scale lesson I talked about the concept of tonality and key. When we play in a particular key like C major, the scale of C major becomes our regular palette of notes. And I mentioned in passing the fact that we don't just build melodies and bass lines, we can also build chords too. And the way that they all fit together works to reinforce that sense of key. Now, I won't delve too much into chord construction or functional harmony in this course, but the applied harmony course is going to cover all these topics in much greater detail. But one thing that we can make use of at this level is simply the scale degree number of each chord in a key. The first step in learning chords in this way is really simple. We simply number the notes of a key. So don't worry about the major or minor quality of the chords just yet, we'll be covering that in a second. So if we work through the key of C major, so we have the C major scale, so we'll start here at the C 3rd fret of the A string, just work through those notes. We have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we're back to C. So if we number those notes, C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, and B is 7. So if we then apply those numbers to the chords, we simply have chord 1, C, chord 2 is D, chord 3 is E, chord 4 is F, chord 5 is G, chord 6 is A, chord 7 is B. Okay, so we just simply take the numbers of each note of the scale, and those numbers in there, when we're talking about chords, are often labelled with Roman numerals. So if we do that, we get the following list of chords. So again, working through the key, we have chord 1 is C, 2 is D, 3 is E, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, and B is 7. Now we've labelled those scale degrees by number, we can just add the chord qualities, so major, minor, etc. So there's a sequence of chords within a major key, and it's the same no matter which major key it is, and that sequence is chord 1 is major, chord 2 is minor, chord 3 is minor, chord 4 is major, chord 5 is major, chord 6 is minor, and chord 7 is diminished. Okay, so that's the sequence of chords. So if we're in the key of C, chord 1 is C major, chord 2 is D minor, chord 3 is E minor, chord 4 is F major, chord 5 is G major, chord 6 is A minor, and chord 7 is B diminished. Okay? Now, that just sounds like a long stream of, of chords in there, that might be quite hard to memorize. So there's a little tip that I've got for you. All you have to do is memorize that chords 1, 4, and 5 are major. All the rest are minor except for chord 7, which is diminished, okay? So just think of chord 7 as the odd one out, okay? And that's the best way of memorizing it. Just think 7 is the weird one, that's diminished, okay? All the rest are minor, apart from 1, 4, 5. So 1, 4, 5 are major, the rest are minor except for 7, which is diminished, okay? So that's the sequence of chords, and that sequence of chords is the same no matter what key. So if we then worked in, let's say, G major, so in G major, for the G major scale, we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then back to G. If I then work through those, G, that's chord 1, major, so that's G major. Chord 2 will be minor, so that's A minor. Chord 3 is going to be minor, so that's going to be B minor. Chord C there, chord 4, that's going to be C major. Chord 5 is going to be D, so that's a D major. Chord 6 is E minor. And then chord 7 is F sharp diminished, okay? So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, okay? Like I said, the sequence of those chords, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished is the same no matter which key you're in. And that makes it really easy to move it from one key to another. You know, if you have that sequence off, you can just transpose it to whichever key you're in. So as an exercise, let's just play through that C major scale along with the backing track and listen to the chords as we work through. So each chord is going to be held for a bar, okay? So we're going to work through in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, just as a refresher of the C major scale, we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C, okay? So with the backing track, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C. Now let's try that same exercise but in the key of G. So again, let's work through the G major scale. So we've got G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then back to G, okay? So with the backing track, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, back to G. Once we've assigned numbers to each chord in a key, we can start to refer to chord progressions by number. So as an example, let's say that we're in the key of C major, we're playing a song, we've got a chord chart, and we can see the chords C major, A minor, D minor, and G major, okay? So if we want to work out what the numbers are for those chords, well, we just look at we just work through the scale. So first of all, C major, well, we're in the key of C major, so we know that that's number 1, that's chord 1, okay? So next up, A minor. So again, we work through the scale. C, D, E, F, G, A. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So A minor is chord 6 in C major. So next up, D minor. So C, D, 1, 2. So that's chord 2. So D minor is chord 2. So far we have C major, chord 1, A minor, chord 6, D minor, chord 2, and then finally we've got G major. So let's work through the scale. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So G major is chord 5 in C major. So that chord progression of C major, A minor, D minor, G major is a 1, 6, 2, 5 chord progression in the key of C. So now let's play along with that chord progression, along with the backing track, and we'll have one chord per bar, just play a basic comp pattern along with it, and we can have a hear how that sounds. So this is a 1, 6, 2, 5 in the key of C. C major, A minor, D minor, and again, chord 1, chord 6, chord 2, chord 5, okay? So as I've said before, we can apply this same system to any key, okay? So let's take that same chord progression, 1, 6, 2, 5, and we'll apply it to the key of G, okay? So we're doing it the other way around this time, we're just looking at the numbers first. So in the key of G major, we've got the notes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, okay? That's the G major scale. So now let's have a look at the chords 1, 6, 2, 5. So first of all, chord 1, okay? So that's just going to be number 1 there, that's G major. Chord 6, well, we work up through the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's an E. So in the key of G major, chord 6 is E. And because we know what the major and minor qualities of each chord, we know that chord 6 is minor. So that should be an E minor. Okay? Remember what I said? Chord 1, 4, and 5 are major, rest are minor, apart from that 7, which is diminished. So far, we've got chord 1, G major, chord 6, E minor. So next up, we want chord 2. So again, through the scale, 1, 2. So that's an A. So that's going to be A minor. Remember what I said? Chord 2 will be a minor. So that's A minor. So far we have G major, E minor, A minor. And then finally, we want chord 5. So again, let's work through the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a D. So chord 5 in G major is D. And as I've said before, 1, 4, 5 are major, so 5, it's D major. So a 1, 6, 2, 5 progression in the key of G major is G major, E minor, A minor, D major. Okay, so all we've done is looked at the numbers, numbered the scale degrees, and then just learned that sequence of major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Okay, so even though it's a fairly long sequence to learn, as long as you get that down, thinking of that 1, 4, 5 is major, the rest are minor, etc. You should be okay. You just have to really get that sequence of chords into your head because it's really, really useful. So now let's play along with that chord progression with the backing track, exactly the same as we did before, 1 chord per bar, okay? So this is a 1, 6, 2, 5 in G major. G major, E minor, A minor, D major, chord 1, chord 6, chord 2, chord 5. Okay, and with these numbers, when you number the progressions in this way, you'll be able to more easily hear how these chord progressions will sound the same even when you transpose them to different keys. It's very much a part of studying harmony, learning how each chord in a key sounds. Every chord in there, chord 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all has its own sound in that key, okay? Just as a little added extra information on this, I earlier mentioned how Roman numerals are used in labelling chords in a key. So chord 1 is I, chord 2 is II, chord 5 will be V. Well, also when we talk about major and minor chords, we use upper and lowercase letters in there. So for instance, chord 1 is major, so that will be an uppercase I. Chord 2 is minor, so that will be lowercase II. Then chord 3 is minor, so that would be lowercase I. Chord 4 is major, so that would be uppercase IV. Chord 5 is major, uppercase V. Chord 6 is minor, so that would be lowercase VI. And then chord 7 is diminished, and we treat that like a minor, so that would be lowercase VII. Okay, so that's just something to bear in mind. It's not always used, but it is used. So if you ever see a differentiation between lowercase and uppercase Roman numerals, that's what it's for. It's also worth bearing in mind that these chord qualities accompanying the numbers can sometimes stray from the sequence of 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, etc. Most songs and pieces of music tend to use notes from outside the key to add a little spice and interest. So don't be surprised to see chord 2 and 3 and 6 as possibly major and maybe 4 as minor. Different chord progressions use these different chord qualities from outside the key. So just remember the ones that you see and try to remember them. All that matters is that we know that 1, 4 and 5 are major, 2, 3 and 6 are minor, and 7 is diminished when we're looking at them diatonically, within the key. Anything outside of that, it's chromatic, so it's drifting outside of the key, but we need to know the standard diatonic chords first. So now we know how to see chords by number, we can start memorizing some really common chord progressions. When we first start learning songs, we often worry about learning all these long sequences of chords all strung together, when in fact there are certain popular chord progressions that just turn up all the time, and the more of these common sequences that we learn, the easier it is to remember new material. So over at TalkingBass.net, there is a list of common chord progressions for you to work through and memorize, along with the backing tracks, so you can play along with them and really get to know the sound of them as you memorize them. The chords 1, 4 and 5 are what we call primary chords. And as we've already looked at, those are the major chords of the key. And they're used in thousands of songs, okay? So it's really important to learn how those chords sound, so that we can recognize them by ear. So here's a little chord progression of 1, 4 and 5, using those chords 1, 4 and 5. So we're going to be in the key of C. So chord 1 is C major, chord 4 is F major, and chord 5 is G major. So we're going to have chord 1 for 2 bars, chord 4 for 1 bar, and chord 5 for 1 bar. So that's C major for 2 bars, F major for 1 bar, and G major for 1 bar, okay? So along with the backing track. C, chord 1, F, chord 4, G, chord 5. So now let's try using those same chords, 1, 4 and 5, in a different order. So we'll try the chord progression 1, 4, 1, 5, which in the key of C is going to be C major, F major, C major, G major. Okay? So with the backing track. Now, because we know that progression by number, it's really easy to transpose it to a different key. So let's try that same chord progression in the key of F. Okay, so we're going to be looking at chord 1, F major, then we're going to go to chord 4, so that's going to be B flat, okay, B flat major, then we're back to chord 1, F major, and then we're up to chord 5, C major. Okay, so along with the backing track. And you'll hear how this has a very similar sound, well, the same sound, relatively speaking, as the last progression. F major, B flat major, F major, C major. Eventually, with experience and practice, you'll learn the chords present in most of the keys. So you'll just know that chord 4 of D major is G major, and you'll know that chord 6 of A major is F sharp minor. That all comes with just experience. So lastly, let's have a look at one more chord progression, a really, really popular one, and that's chords 1, 5, 6, 4. And we'll play this in the key of A flat major, okay, just for a change. So we've got the A flat major there, so with the A flat major scale. Okay, so we've got chord 1 is A flat major, then we've got chord 5, E flat major, then chord 6, F minor, and then chord 4, D flat major. Okay, so 1, 5, 6, 4. Okay, so along with the backing track. If you ever have problems working out the chords in a key, just get right back to basics and just play through the scale one note at a time and just look for the notes of those scale degrees. So for instance, in that previous chord progression, we were in the key of A flat. You might not be that familiar with the key of A flat. So when you hear the numbers 1, 5, 6, 4, you just work through the scale. So you think A flat major there, 1, okay, look at it, there's an A flat. Then chord 5, work up through the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have a look there. Okay, that's an E flat. Okay, then chord 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have a look at it. Yep, it's an F. So that's an F minor. And again, chord 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, D flat. So that's a D flat major. So like I say, if you have any problems with this, if you just don't know all the chords within a key at any one point, just get right back to basics and work through the scale, one note at a time, until you can find out which one it is.